Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Michael Sisco show. Jordan, my audio is probably roboting as it normally is in the beginning of my streams, but if you guys could leave some comments for me and just let me know. I'm trying to get the super chats on entry set up as well, multitasking, as I always am, because I'm my own producer, which is great, but good show today. We do have a big guest, Ready with Politics. I will pull him up in 1 second once I get this entropy set up. Anyways, awesome. I see two of you. I see you guys out there. Give me a heads up on the audio. All right. You guys don't want to talk. You guys don't want to talk. I am just changing the privacy settings on Facebook. That way I can get your messages, your comments. But I'm just going to assume that we're good. And we're going to bring on Red Eagle. Hey, what's going on? Red Eagle Politics. Was I roboting?
Yeah, I was roboting, but now it's a little bit better, so it should be good.
That's the pattern. As soon as I bring the guest on, then it starts to work. So
yeah, it was really like staticky.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's good now, so that's good.
It's like a stream. I use StreamYard, so maybe it's some strange StreamYard glitch that it just doesn't want to work until I bring the guest on.
It could be, because I typically use OBS. I don't really have that much of a problem. You might want to, if there's a way to fix the latency setting, that can kind of play a role in it, I think, but I'm not sure.
We'll have to talk at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's obviously not a microphone issue. It's just goofy. Hang on.
Yeah.
Entropy is about to be set up. Super chats are a priority. And by the way, if you super chat today, half of it goes to Saint Nina's Monastery in Union Bridge, Maryland. Hang on. Had to mute that. But yeah, half the super chats go to St. Nina's Monastery in Union Bridge, Maryland. So I will give half of them. Oh, we have quite a few people watching now. 7 nerds. 7 nerds. See, you've hit it real big, Red Eagle. You're on my huge chat. But,
yeah, 7. Well, you got to start from somewhere.
Hey, you know what? Usually we end up with about 20 at some point. But in the beginning, it's a little low, but it's cool. It'll grow.
I remember my channel just starting off would get around, 20 live viewers at once, but then it, grew to 30, 40, 50, and so on. So now we're at a good 500 guaranteed every night. So we're doing pretty well. So you keep working at it, you'll get there. That's pretty good. I think, sometimes I watch Jay Dyer. I don't know if you've heard of him. No, I haven't. He only gets he has 60,000 subs, but he only gets about 100 people for his streams. Yeah. 200. But this is the playback is where it counts. Yeah, on election night, I'm anticipating over 2,000 viewers, but we'll just have to wait and see. Jeez, 2,000. So, anyways, what was your takeaway from this Democratic convention? I think the takeaway was that I want 8 hours of my life back, because I think it was fairly a boring convention. I think, basically an 8-hour-long infomercial for Joe Biden, who really isn't the most exciting individual to begin with. So I don't really think it's going to give him a convention bump like traditionally we've seen in the past. In fact, we look at the betting odds, and Biden's gone down since the convention. He's gone down since his speech. And that's really unheard of. After the DNC in 2016, Hillary Clinton gained about 13 to 14 net points on Donald Trump within the ensuing week or so. But Biden, he's falling. He went from 60 to 55. So we'll have to see what happens this week with the RNC, because if the decline continues, it's not a good thing for Biden.
Yeah, it was just the wackiest. My thoughts. I couldn't believe that they thought that this was good. Like, it was.
Yeah, I don't think too many people really did. It didn't have very good ratings. The ratings fell compared to 2016, despite the fact that there is arguably more people at home watching now. And it just kind of fell flat. And the RNC this week, this is the opportunity for Republicans to make it better than what the DNC was, because if they just have it on par, they're not going to see a bump from it.
Oh, it's going to be better. It's just not going to be
Yeah.
spectacular. Well, except for Trump's speech. I'm sure Trump's speech will be pretty epic.
Yeah.
I didn't really see any other speakers that really excited me, except maybe Senator Tom Cotton. His will be good.
Yeah, there were not that many populist or nationalist individuals that were on the list. It kind of was disappointing. I know Jason Lewis out of Minnesota, he has a chance to win up there. I think he's a very strong candidate. I don't know why he was snubbed from the list. And then you have people like Charlie Kirk getting a featured speaking role at the RNC. It's like, it doesn't really surprise me given the Republican establishment, but honestly, I just don't know what to make of it. But it's probably going to be better than the DNC, so that's a good thing.
Hey, Charlie Kirk is full on populist now. He wants to close the borders.
That's what he'll say in front of the camera. But then we've seen the leaked audio of him saying we need full mass immigration because there's all this land between Chicago and Reno. So we know that he's kind of a two-faced individual when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, we have to let them all grift though, because that's how movements grow. Let the grifters grift. They got to get on board. That's how we do it.
Well, yeah, I think for the appearance of things, I mean, it's better that he moves a little bit to the the right, to the populist side of things. But we just have to know that he's not very authentic in what he believes. But if he wants to go out there and give a populist speech at the RNC, I'm not going to necessarily turn it down. But I just think that we need to have more populist speakers, especially. I mean, Trump's got to have a populist speech. Enough talking about, Biden's a socialist, this, that, and the other thing. A lot of it needs to say, what does Trump have to offer for middle America in the next 4 years if he wants to actually win the election?
Yeah. And I know a lot of my viewers, I mean, I get more of a kind of a trad, a lot of traditionalist Catholics and Orthodox people follow my work, mostly as a writer on saintsedwardmedia.com. Everybody should go. Check that out. But I know a lot of us are pretty black-pilled. Some are under the impression, especially given demographic change since 2016 and, the big vote by mail thing, that, Trump's prospects may not be as good as we'd like them to be at re-election. You seem to be one of the more enthusiastic, kind of optimistic types. What's your take on Trump's chances at re-election, and why do you feel that way?
Well, I think that Trump has a better chance at re-election than a lot of people believe. I think that if you look at the left, if you look at Biden, he's just a weak candidate. And if there are debates, I think that Trump would be a lock to win. If you look at the polling average, he's only down in 2 states. If he flips those 2 states, he can win the election. That would be Pennsylvania and Florida. And I think that in terms of the demographic change, the one white pill is if you look at the primary data for this election cycle, you would see that Latino individuals and Black individuals are unenthused about the election. They were unenthused in the primary. Their vote shares actually may decline for this electorate. So that's the one white pill. The black pill is, will Trump be able to maintain his margins among white suburbanites in order to win the election, as well as keep the turnout high in the rurals? The answer is he could very well be, but that's probably what the election's going to come down to, because demographic change, it probably won't impact this election this much. The only state that really is going to be competitive based off of it is Arizona. But if you look at the data and the primary, Latino votes in Arizona declined from 4 years ago in the primary. which speaks volumes because the Democrats turned out more overall nationwide. So it very well could not be much of a factor this election. The problem is, what about next election, the following election, where states like Texas will be more in play, and you could attribute that more to immigration, demographic changes, things like that.
What about, say, some of the older voter base that may have actually just died from COVID? Well, just because 4 years have passed, and from this COVID-19 thing. I mean, a lot of Trump's voting base was boomer. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and there are, I guess you would say, 100 and what is it, 160 to 200,000 by the election that will have gone. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to make up the margin in, a lot of key states. A lot of the states that were hit hardest, obviously, a lot of that does come from New York. A lot of it does come from California. The amount in swing states is probably minimal, probably far less than 100,000. And a lot of the people that died are Democrats as well. If you look at the fact that COVID probably disproportionately affected the big cities, which are much different demographically than the rural areas based on vote share. So I don't think that COVID's gonna, in terms of the people dying, I don't know if that's gonna have that big of an impact on the election, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Okay. Did I hear you say on Twitter that New York is in play?
No, I don't believe New York is in play. In fact, what we did see is the fact of there was one official from the New York Republican Party that said that there was a poll, an internal poll that had Trump down just 5 to Biden. I personally don't believe that one bit. New York's a state that Trump lost by 22, and he overperformed from Romney 4 years ago in the state. So best case is maybe he loses it by 15 to 20 points. I can't see him winning New York. I don't know exactly what the Republican Party is thinking by saying that, but Republicans are better off focusing on Pennsylvania, Florida, Arizona right now. Those are the states that they're going to have to pull their supporters together and galvanize them in order to win the election.
Yeah. So what polls? I mean, because all of us who watch mainstream media and we see these polls coming out that show Biden ahead. What are you using to kind of gauge your assessment on?
Well, I do look at the polls. I look at the polls that come out nationwide. I would say Biden has a lead right now nationwide by around 5 to 6% in the popular vote. When you properly weight the polls, it gives Trump a little bit of an advantage there. But I think that what really matters isn't the popular vote, it's the polls by state. Those need to be looked into, weighted, but Trump is doing much better in the battlegrounds, in the key top battleground average on RCP. He's only down by 4 percentage points. So he just needs to flip Florida in the average and flip Pennsylvania. And we haven't seen any polling out of Florida for a while. So very well, he could be up in Florida for all we know. Pennsylvania is going to be a state he's got to focus on, and he needs to keep campaigning in the Rust Belt states if he wants to win the election. But it's basically anybody's game. We are very far out of the election. I would tell the viewers that if you see a poll that's registered voters, to largely disregard it, because likely voter polls tend to be more accurate because it gauges who is likely to come out and vote, not just registered voters, many of which don't even vote a lot of the time.
Interesting. I find it fascinating how smart you are with this crazy way.
Yeah, it's a lot of data for sure that goes into this, and it's definitely, if you analyze all of the data properly, you can tell that this is probably going to go down the wire. Could be the closest election since 2000 for all we know, and we'll just have to wait and see, because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of factors that go into this that are at play.
Yeah, I've done a similar thing. Obviously, as a former campaign manager, I had to do it by precinct for an entire, not a very large state. We won't mention which one, but it's quite different than what you're doing with the whole national scene. Let's see, we have some comments. So I'm Orthodox, so obviously a lot of our viewers are Orthodox. Robin Wright has become.
I'm Armenian Orthodox as well.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know I was bringing on a quasi-ortho, bro. That's good. We won't give you full status, maybe, but unless you like, are you a Roosh fan?
I'm aware of who he is. I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of him, but I know that he's Armenian Orthodox.
Okay, yeah, I think he's made quite a quite a turnaround. So that's good to see, though. It's always good to see. I just kind of read comments as they come, unless they're crazy. It would be quite a disaster if Biden wins. That would not be good.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's the message that Trump really needs to hammer at the RNC, is that they need to actually show Biden for who he is, say that he's a puppet. It would be like flying blind at the wheel, and also talk about a lot of the policies that he supports that are really weren't mainstream even 4 years ago. He's running the furthest left general election campaign in modern history. That's even Bernie Sanders said that he would be the furthest left president since FDR. So I think that there's a
yeah,
lot of warning signs, but I'm sick of the media trying to paint Biden as some sort of moderate, especially on social issues. He might have been in the past, but this isn't 2008 Biden, let alone 1995 Biden. This is 2020 Biden, who largely can't form his own opinions for himself.
yeah, it's not his campaign. It's party establishment. That's what they want. I don't understand how people can't see this. What are you not watching? The guy does not have his mental faculties.
No.
It's pretty much going to be like a hodgepodge of the progressive wing, kind of with a little bit of infighting with the Green New Deal Marxists, basically. And
Well, yeah, and Biden and Kamala Harris have supported some form of the Green New Deal. I really think what his presidency is going to be is just a big tug of war between the establishment, globalists, neoliberals, and the Marxian individuals like AOC, a few other individuals in Congress that fit that bill. So I think that one white pill of a Biden presidency would be the fact that the Democrat Party is going to be torn apart, but I think that that's probably going to happen either way.
apparently, we're matching red polos today.
Yeah.
Mine's actually a long sleeve,
Yeah,
but
mine is not, but yeah.
we did not coordinate this at all.
Yeah.
But so I mean, there has been some frustration on the right, I guess, because we do not have a wall. We actually, in some sense, saw some expansion of H-1B programs there with
Yeah.
it almost seems like a certain guy named Jared Kushner has been our president at times. But should Trump win, do you think he'll be more or less effective pushing the America First agenda that he actually ran on in a second term? Or do you think we'll just keep seeing the same kind of co-opting from various branches of the Republican Party, or the impediments coming from the left?
Yeah, I think he'll probably be more, because I've heard reports that Jared Kushner would likely not be in the White House in a Trump second term. So I think that alone could probably push Trump into the more populist direction. I think a lot of it does hinge on the 2022 midterms. If Republicans can galvanize a movement similar to the Tea Party, but more of an America First movement, could they actually gain seats in the House and be able to take it so that Trump can actually push his agenda through easier in his last 2 years of his presidency? So we'd have to look at that when it happens. But I think that he probably would be more. He has a lot more flexibility in his second term, to the point where he could be a little bit more populist. So I would say that more likely to be populist than what he's exactly pushing for now. So yes.
Yeah, as a 32-year-old boomer, I seem to notice some patterns. So like it always seems to work this way. The president wins. We always get 8 years of a party, it seems. I can't remember the last 4-year one-term party.
1992, when Bush lost to Bill Clinton, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, so it seems like 8 years, and then the first midterms always swing to the other party, like some weird reaction.
Yeah.
And then the midterms in the second term are more of a um, a hit or miss. Like you have more of a chance to get your majority back. But
Yeah.
then the problem is in your last 2 years as president, you're considered kind of a lame duck. Like if you let's say we have a Supreme Court justice that needs to be confirmed. They might push that as
Well,
far as
yeah, if it's in the last year, then usually you won't be able to get one through. If it's in your second to last year, it probably could pass one. But it also depends on who controls the Senate as well. So definitely the 2022 midterms are not looking good in terms of a map for Republicans in the Trump midterm. That's why it's important that we hold as many seats as we possibly can in this cycle.
why do you say that? Because
Well,
I'm
because
curious, like, is it just? I mean, because we don't really know. People seem to come out of nowhere sometimes.
Well, yeah, I know, but just judging off of what the map looks like, it doesn't seem like if Trump wins, usually the Democrats would have a good year. And what seats could Republicans potentially flip away from the Democrats, aside from maybe New Hampshire? I don't see one, but yeah, Florida, that's up. I mean, I would expect Rubio to hold, but North Carolina, that's definitely a big one.
Do we
That's
want
going to be up.
Rubio to hold? Do we want Rubio to hold?
Well, I mean, probably over the alternative, but yeah, definitely is not my favorite choice of a senator for sure.
It's
But
probably someone
there's,
we should primary, to be honest.
yeah, potentially. Also, Pennsylvania's going to be a big one. Toomey's seat is up, as well as the one in Georgia. That one could be at risk if the Dems can get their turnout up significantly. So there's going to be a lot of questions. Arizona as well. That one probably flips this cycle, but it's up again because it's a special election. So maybe if Doug Ducey or somebody in Arizona runs, they could potentially flip it back. But it's not looking like the best map for Republicans. That's why this cycle they need to get as many seats as they possibly can. So I'd urge people, no matter what, to vote Republican up and down the ticket.
Representative Paul Gosar, he's down in Arizona. He's a good one.
Well, yeah, I think he would be great. Absolutely.
Yeah. Joe Biden will probably be dead in 5 years or so. He is turning 78 this November. That's true. That's also why it's important not to vote for him, because
well, Kamala Harris is another reason why not to vote for him. And you saw in the some of the polls, like in Georgia and Texas, ever since Biden picked Harris, Trump's margins are going up a little bit. So I think that pick actually hurts Biden significantly, especially in these suburban areas.
Yeah, but he did pigeonhole himself into basically having to pick her.
Yeah.
Matt Gaetz, what's your take on Gaetz? Just personally, do you think he's our guy, or?
I think he's better than a lot of the representatives that are out there. I don't think he's necessarily perfect. He's kind of like he's in between America First and what you would call conservative Inc., I would say.
He's got apparently an adopted child, so yeah.
Very, very interesting circumstances there. I don't exactly know what that's all about, but yeah.
Boom B says, "Will you delete your channel when Biden wins in a landslide?" I don't know if you're talking to.
Probably talking to me. No, I wouldn't delete my channel. There's a reason why I have a date stamped on all my prediction videos. And I very well could predict a Biden victory at the end of the day based on circumstances. Like I said, he probably has a 40 to a 45% chance to win, in my opinion. We'll just have to wait and see about the debates, how it will, if the polls tighten, because if the polls don't tighten, then Biden's chances to win are probably a bit higher than that. But we'll just have to really just wait and see. But I'm not going to delete my channel. I'm not going to be going anywhere, because I also do other, commentary videos, just general political analysis, things like that. So, yeah.
I think if Biden wins, they will delete all of our channels for us. We won't have to delete. We're just going to be, completely silent.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I think that, I mean, if Trump does win, I think that it would get worse unless he takes action. I think that if you look at one of the reasons why I think that they suspended a lot of these channels like InfoWars, et cetera, is because they helped Trump win. if Biden wins in 2020, I think that maybe you could see them not continue as much of the censorship as they're doing. They'll still censor, but it's probably won't. They'll probably not try to amp it up a little bit. But you never know; they might. So I don't know. That's
think
definitely a lot of questions there.
So you think it'll get less dystopian if?
Well, I don't think it'll get less dystopian. I just don't think it'll get more dystopian on the censorship. In fact, Trump winning is probably the best shot we have in terms of getting some sort of regulation of big tech, especially because they will crack down more if Trump wins. So Trump will probably be forced to take action, at least hopefully. There's a lot of question marks surrounding the situation.
Yeah, Beam B, apparently a big fan. Are you too scared to tell your subscribers the truth because they all get triggered when you show them Trump is losing?
Well, no, I don't. I'm not. I don't get that. I don't get that afraid to do it. I've lost subscribers before, presumably from a lot of boomer individuals when I've showed Trump falling in the polls, done videos about him falling in the betting odds and things like that. But this is going to be a very close election. That's what all the metrics are showing, in my opinion. I don't think Biden or Trump are going to run away with this election. I've been saying that for the past 4 or 5 months or so. But there's a lot of questions, and we'll just have to wait and see on a lot of this kind of stuff. But if I have a prediction where Trump is losing, I have a prediction where Trump is losing. That's just the case. If people want to leave or unsubscribe because of it, they're more than welcome to. But either way, they're clicking on the video at the end of the day. So it's really their loss, not mine.
Trump is quite old too, actually, 74. Well, yeah, but he only has one more term to go. So, and he seems quite healthy, to be honest.
Yeah, he's 74. I mean, he's high energy. Biden's 78 and low energy. I think there's the difference there.
Yeah. And Trump seems to have his faculties together. He's eccentric, but
yeah.
He's should Bryson Gray be at the RNC? Who's that?
The one pro-Trump Christian rapper guy. The guy with the big hat. I don't know if you remember, but I mean, I think it would be good if he did want to perform at the RNC or something like that. But I don't know. It's really up to the RNC's decision to do that. So.
Yeah, it's true. I don't think the RNC makes very good decisions. I don't think very highly of the GOP in general, outside of Trumpianism, basically. But
yeah.
Well, actually, I mean, I have some issues with that too, but that's more on the social conservative side of things.
Yeah,
he's a little too left for me on some of the LG Globo homo issues, but
no, yeah, he's all. I mean, he's a New Yorker. He's still gonna have those New York values or whatever when it comes to social issues, but.
It looks like we have some chats coming in, but please consider supporting St. Nina's Monastery today with some of the super chats on the Entropy link. But we need Candace Owens at the RNC. I like Candace Owens. I know it's kind of cringe. Some people go, oh my goodness, but she can get away with saying some things that need to be said.
No, she'd be a lot better than 80% of the people that were on that list that I saw today.
Yeah, I do like Kim Klacik. Klacik is a good friend of mine. She's cool, but she's got
no chance.
Actually, she's closing in, believe it or not.
Really?
That last little video she had that went basically got 10 million views. She got clobbered in her special election. But the latest polls have her pushing like 44% right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if it happens, that'd be great. I'm skeptical, but we'll just have to wait and see. I wish her the best of luck in terms of being able to win, because that would be huge.
She's going up against 77% registered Dem district, but it's
going to be tough.
I don't know, dude. She seems to be having some momentum, but we'll see. Question for both of us. What do you guys think a Biden presidency looks like? Accomplishments, state of country, future? This is kind of where I was going anyway. Well, actually, it's not exactly where I was going. So why don't we answer this one? Let's start with you. What do you think?
Well, I think that Biden would probably try to undo a lot of what Trump had accomplished through executive order. I think that if Republicans hold the Senate, it's going to be a lot tougher for the Democrats to really get anything done. And I think the Republicans would probably have a very good midterm election. I think that leading up to 2024, Biden would not be the favorite to win re-election. I think that he would probably lose in 2024 if that was the case. But he might get, they might have to pass some, I don't know exactly what it would be, but you'd see executive orders for certain things. If he doesn't get the Senate, he probably won't be able to pass any tax increases or things like that. But it would just be a very dull presidency, and a lot of Trump's good work would be undone overnight by executive order on day one.
My biggest thing is it would have pretty drastic long-term effects.
Well,
And
yeah, it's Supreme Court, yeah.
And not just that, but the so we're up against the clock when it comes to demographic change, and 4 years of 1.1 million people coming here a year, that are 9 out of 10 of them are going to vote for the left, means that pretty much we might actually have a very difficult time ever winning again. And so any conservative issue that you think is important, like abortion, pro-life issues, Second Amendment, we're gonna lose a lot of. We might not lose that much ground in 4 years on these issues, but we are going to have a significantly much more difficult time winning the presidency ever again, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, and the number one thing that I did forget to mention was amnesty. I don't know if he could do that by executive. Well, actually, he probably will be able to do that by executive order. And if he's able to do that overnight, you will see the Democrats gain significantly. I don't know if it takes, 5 years of being a citizen to vote or whatever. But if he does that overnight, you will see Arizona be much, much harder to win than it already is. Texas potentially gone in 2024 if Biden gets full amnesty through, which is exactly what he wants to do. So decriminalizing border crossings, that's going to incentivize more people to come into the country illegally, and then Biden's going to be at the helm. He's going to be the one that's going to be giving out the citizenship. It's going to be a disaster on immigration. That's probably the number one reason to vote for Donald Trump in this election, is the issue of immigration, as well as a lot of the other far left social policies that are being pushed by the Biden campaign.
Yeah, I agree. I do think. I mean, I think if Biden wins, accelerationism might be in for the win, but I'd rather not go that route.
Yeah, preferably not.
Yeah, even if Trump were to win the electoral vote, I think they've planned to rig it with mail-in and electric counting. I think as much as I do think that that's their plan, but I don't think that even with Trump freaking out about it as much as he is, I don't think it's as big of a deal as we're making it out to be. And the reason I say that is because it is extremely difficult to rig an election, and to do that you have to be very competent, because you have 50 states, and then you have a bunch of little election districts per state, and you would have to do some massive coordination to actually rig an election. And I just don't think that the left is that competent. I don't think the Democratic Party is competent enough to rig it that much. So
yeah, I don't think that they'll be able to. In terms of the mail-in ballots, like the states that are pushing it for universal voting, like Nevada, were never really going to be that much in play to begin with. So I don't think that that's going to be why if Trump loses. I don't think it's going to be based on that. Even though there will be a lot of people that will say it is if he does lose. I don't think it's probably, if he loses, it's probably not going to be because it was a rigged election.
Yeah, I don't think I mean, we should stop. It's a dumb idea, the mail-in voting, because it's more prone to fraud. And And it's not the same as absentee ballots because you have to literally prove who you are to get an absentee ballot.
Yeah, it's a much more secure process.
Yeah, so, and then if we had a similar process with the mail-in ballots, it wouldn't be such an issue. But it's just not a good idea. It's just not. Show up to the polls. How come Laura Loomer will not be speaking at the RNC? Because they don't like her. That's why.
Yeah, she's probably too controversial for the RNC.
Yeah, when are you people going to realize that the Republican Party is not that great either? It's been somewhat transformed, but the old Republican Party is still grasping, and that's why you have like Nikki Haley there. And
well,
yes, she does suck. I agree with this.
And if Trump loses, another downside is that the Republican Party overnight will do their best they can to distance themselves from Trumpism, Trumpian populism. They'll go back to the days of old, the neocon days, and they'll run in 2024. Their candidate that they'll be pushing is going to be Nikki Haley and Dan Crenshaw. So that's the direction that the Republican Party is going to head. And if Donald Trump loses, if Donald Trump wins, it's going to be a lot easier for a much more populist candidate in 2024 to run. I don't know who that candidate's going to be because there's not that many out there, but I think it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah. Let's see here. 67% of voters are still non-Hispanic white, but many whites are hopeless libtards. That's true. But I don't know, what is the split with are white voters predominantly Republican?
I mean, it's last time it was, I think it was 57 to 38 for Trump. In terms of this election, I mean, it could narrow. A lot of the polls have it narrowing, but polls usually underestimate white support for the Republican Party. So I'm just probably going to take a lot of the ones that have it like a 6% split as a grain of salt, because we saw a lot of that in 2018 and we saw a lot of that in 2016. I would expect maybe a 55 to 42 split or something along those lines.
And I know that a lot of his voters were he had a lot of crossover vote last time, probably from white Democrats, from like old blue dog Dems that are pretty socially conservative. But
yeah, places like Ohio, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, because they were voting in their interest because, Trump has appeal to labor as well. A lot of blue-collar working type people that, those people have really been left behind by the Democratic Party nowadays. So it's not the same party as it used to be. Mac, hey, have you heard about this? That, if the results aren't clear, that the Speaker of the House becomes president. Apparently there's Section 19. We might get Nancy Pelosi, huh?
Yeah, that would be an ultimate disaster. One thing I do know is the fact that you look at what could happen is realistically a 269 to 269 tie, and then it goes to the state delegations, which lean Republican. Republicans probably 90% chance of holding on to the state delegations, if not more than that. So if Trump gets 269, he's probably going to win. But that's why it's 269 to win for the Republicans, 270 to win for the Democrats, at least for right now. And then you will see massive unrest happen if that's the case, even more unrest than we saw last time, and it won't even be close.
Yeah. What do you think? I know some of the states, I think they were mostly blue states, but some of them went in the they passed some unconstitutional provisions that they're going to give their delegate votes to whoever wins the popular vote.
Yeah, it's not in effect until the compact has 270 electoral votes, and even then it probably will get struck down by the Constitution in the Supreme Court or something like that. So it's not going to be a factor. Yeah,
my only concern with it is it could cause a delay, which I guess the mail-in voting could too.
Yeah, we're probably going to see it. We probably are going to see a delay. I don't think we'll get the full results on election night. Could take a few days after to really know who won. And there's going to be a lot of questions about fraud because it's not a very transparent system.
Yeah, yeah. Fox News polls suck. Yeah, they do. They do. Who do they use?
Well, they use a Never Trump firm and a Democrat firm to get their polls. So it's just the way it is. And you talk about who does the polling. A lot of it is through this system that I like to call the election mafia, because that's what they do. They try to consistently manipulate the public in terms of who they sample. And it's been proven time and time again. And a lot of it is a grift. They have their, Cook Political Report, where they get people to sign up for for all the polling news there, and they get all these subscriptions from wealthy liberals, and they take the money and they just say that Donald Trump has no chance at 270 electoral votes or something like that. That's what they show right now. So that's kind of how they do. It's kind of a money-making scheme, and 538 is exactly the same way with what they try to show and how they try to analyze it, and it's just abysmal.
Yeah. Justin Bozeman, is Fox News terrible? And Brandon Diebert says only Tucker is worth watching on Fox, and I have to agree. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I agree. Fox seems to be overrun with never Trumpers nowadays. It's like I was watching the Biden speech on Fox, and they were hyping him up to be the second coming of Jesus.
Yeah,
and it's like after the speech, they were saying he did a great job. And if you watch the speech, you would know it was dull. He didn't make a mistake. But are we really setting that to be the low bar for the next president of the United States? I don't think that that's a very good precedent to set.
There's a good chance it was pre-recorded too and edited.
Well, I've heard about that. I don't know exactly if that's true or not, but I've heard about that. I haven't seen fully what the evidence was, but it'd be worth looking into.
This is a dude that can't get through a live 2-minute segment on cable news. Why do we think he could read from a teleprompter for 22 minutes without stumbling over his words?
Well, what we do know is that he probably had to practice it for 4 weeks or so, if not more. And the other thing that we know is that we do know that Trump's speech in 2016, which was a great speech, was an hour and 30 minutes. Hillary Clinton's was an hour and 20 minutes or so. Biden's speech was just, 22 minutes? That's nowhere near the length that it should have been. And that was it's a disastrous convention. Usually, like I said, the betting odds would favor your party after the convention. This has to be the first time in modern history where the betting odds, you see a slip away during the convention. And I don't know if Trump is necessarily going to have the greatest convention because it is virtual and there are struggles that come with that. But it has to be better than what I just witnessed last week, because that was an absolute disgrace and a disaster for the Democrat Party.
Yeah, well, isn't he going to speak from the White House lawn? So.
I believe so. If he's smart, he'll have a crowd there. If he's smart. I don't know if he will or not, but we'll just have to see.
I should try and get a press pass with my St. Edward media. Not going to happen. What did you? I think you mentioned Minnesota earlier. Do you think he's going to win Minnesota?
I think it's worth going after. The last few polls have had it within the margin of error, and there's a lot of people that don't want to see their city go to ruins, even if they do live out in an exurban or rural area. So I think that a lot of people are fed up with what's happening in Minneapolis. I don't know if that's going to translate to a whole lot of votes, but it seems like there's something going on in Minnesota. There's a reason why Trump is going there, and we know what the polls showed last time in Minnesota, that Trump was going to lose by 10, and he only lost by 1 to 2. And there was a large third-party vote share that took away votes from him. So I think that it's worth going to. I think it's worth looking into, because even Nate Silver over at 538, who we know he has a bias, admits that Minnesota could actually flip before Wisconsin or Michigan stay red. So it very well could be a part of Trump's path to 270, and I think he'd be dumb to ignore it. And I'm glad that he's not.
Well, he did hold a rally there. When was that? It was that was back in December. Was it December or January?
Well, he did held one, but he also held like an airport rally there last week.
Okay.
With I think Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, was there, and he's great help in terms of the state of Minnesota. So it's good that he has him on board, because that could actually propel him to win. Because I don't think that was a factor last time, but he's a lot more popular now. And I don't know if he's speaking at the RNC, but they should give him a surprise slot if they don't already have him on the list.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we're gonna see his commercial every 2 seconds. So
Yeah.
they're just gonna randomly interrupt segments with the My Pillow segments. But anyways, if so, what do you think? Let's kind of play a game with two scenarios. What do you think the future, the post-Trump future of conservatism is? Whether let's go down the path if he, you kind of touched on this a little bit, down the path if he loses and down the path if he wins. What does the conservative movement look like here in the United States?
Well, I think it's a large difference between what you could see in 2024 if Trump loses. Like I said, if he loses, it's probably going to be Nikki Haley at the head of the party, and I don't really know if she's even capable of winning a general election. And if she does, it's going to be a vastly different map, where a lot of the moderates and liberals support the washed Bush, wash or watered down neoconservatism, diet liberalism type of thing. And the other option is if Donald Trump wins, and you might see somebody, maybe not Tucker Carlson, but somebody that aligns closely with Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson actually end up winning the nomination in 2024. So Donald Trump winning re-election is probably one of the better things that could happen in the long run for the Republican Party.
Do you think we can ever see a actual social, like a rise of the culture wars again, like real social conservatism? Like, is there a path back to that?
I think it's going to be hard. If you look at Donald Trump, especially on a lot of the issues like you mentioned, he's actually kind of socially liberal compared to traditional conservatives on a big array of issues. I think that the nominee in 2024 should try to combat a lot of what's going on in our universities. Our nominee in 2024 should try to combat a lot of the alphabet agenda that's being pushed on children nowadays. And I think that that alone could make them a much stronger candidate in terms of a general election.
Yeah, I think we need, and someone, I think the person after Trump, whoever actually says the truth, and if they take we need someone to out Trump, but in a different way. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, it does make sense.
When Trump loses bigly and the GOP splits into two, they will never win an election again, especially with Texas turning blue. Let's celebrate that.
A lot of trolls today. I don't know exactly where they're coming from, but a lot of trolls in here.
Trump destroyed the GOP. Democrats in power for 100 years. Now, I do as a traditionalist, I do kind of see, and I know people like Nick Fuentes have spoken about this, that if we don't get our act together and take this America first is inevitable path, which I disagree with them. I don't think it's inevitable. I think you have to work really hard. It's not inevitable. It will require an extreme amount of organization and effort. But if it isn't inevitable, it is a actual form of balkanization, because those of us who care about maintaining our ability to live out our traditionalist lifestyle and to actually be allowed to be Orthodox per se or traditionalist Catholic, we're not going to sit here and live under the leftist tyranny. So
yeah,
maybe we won't win under the way that you're thinking, but we will win we're either going to be in the gulags or we're going to have our own space to do what we want.
Well, I think that in terms of the Republican Party, they're always going to be around. The problem is it will depend if they are actually conservative or they go the route of Larry Hogan and Charlie Baker and basically center left party versus the far left party. that the Democrats are going to be.
Yeah, being Republican already doesn't mean that you're conservative. So I've come to learn that, and I don't think I'm as optimistic as you that the GOP is going to take the either. I don't think there's a conservative future for the GOP, to be honest, after Trump.
There might not be.
I just I guess my experience actually in the party and trying to navigate those waters, I've realized that the Republican Party clings so strongly to terrible ideas. They hop on. They care mostly about maintaining power, so they're going to hop behind people like Trump who actually win with the grassroots support. But my hope of them actually having like a real significant change as a party is kind of I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Why does Jared Kushner suck? Sorry, we're on YouTube. Not allowed to answer that question. Hey, why tell me why Jared Kushner is the worst? I'm sorry, but I kind of want to keep my YouTube for a little bit, okay? We do have a DLive. Please subscribe to dlive.tv/Michael Sisco. After we are canceled, we might get into why Jared Kushner sucks.
Just the policies, honestly.
The American Thinker made an article on how to win the culture. Yeah, well, that takes a lot of time, and it doesn't help when you're importing people that are just fighting against you. What do you do? Do you think that the riots helped Trump?
I think in the short term, I think he was too weak. I think he kind of played to both sides, but long term, you see a lot of what's going on, and he is the symbol against that. He is the rhetorical symbol against the left-wing violence that's happening in our streets. So in terms of we look at the polls in Minnesota and we see what's happening, I'd say the answer is probably it does help him, because there are a lot of people that are upset with what's going on, and a lot of people that could be waking up over the insane tactics that the left is using. So absolutely.
Yeah, there's somebody in the chat asking if I am still friends with somebody. I'm actually not allowed to mention this person's name because I am on her. I was on her campaign. Therefore, we are not allowed to bring that up unless you want me to go to federal prison. Yeah. So, Don Jr. 2024. What do you? I don't know if I like that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it could be better than somebody like Nikki Haley, but overall, I would say not my first choice. Another reason being the fact that 2 Trumps in a row is probably not the best decision. Second of all, is he's just so ingrained within the TPUSA establishment. He's always one of their featured speakers, to the point where it would basically be a Charlie Kirk presidency. And what could go wrong with that exactly?
Yeah, he's he has not demonstrated to me to be at all like his anything like what his father was running on in 2016. So maybe I would have to see what his whatever platform he comes out swinging with is what I would have to judge that on. But I think,
yeah, a lot of it also depends on what the platforms they're going to be releasing are.
I don't really think he has the energy either. He just doesn't seem to have the it factor.
I don't know who's going to run in 2024. It could be they could only run 4 or 5 candidates. We'll see what the establishment allows to happen to begin with. And if they run like 50 people like the Democrats did this time around, we'll have a lot to choose from. And I believe that if there's one person out there that has the right values, the right vision for America in mind, doesn't really matter where they are, they will start to gain some traction, because we have seen candidates come out of nowhere before. Andrew Yang comes to mind. He was a minor candidate to begin with, and he got a support in the he got support in his primary and things like that. So anybody could really come. We might not even know who the nominee's name is.
We got it on the screen right here. We got it. Hey, who wins? Do you think I think Pennsylvania goes Trump again. I really can't see that.
Yeah, I think it's a coin flip, actually. Could go down the wire.
I don't know. We'll have to see what Yangling does. They need to cough up some more change.
Yeah,
hey, I think. Are you old enough to drink yet, bro? Are you old enough to drink yet?
I'll be in about I guess I would say 8 months or so.
8 months.
Yeah.
So that's way after the election. Way after
Yeah.
the election. Do you reveal where you live?
Yeah, I live in Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah.
Oh, you got wonderful Governor Whitmer.
Yeah.
We just did an article. Somebody, NJ Gregory, did an article on her on my website. So St. Edward Media, go check. Hey, do you do any writing? I need some more writers, bro. Writers.
I do write for my website every once in a while. So.
All right. Well, if you want to do a guest op-ed, be happy to publish you on saintsedwardmedia.com.
Yeah.
But I think we're winding it down. Alex J says yes. Are you of Armenian descent? Yes, you already said that. Are you full or half?
Half.
Half.
Yeah, I'm a lot of different things. I'll just put it at that.
Well, that's whatever. It's good that you're Orthodox. We got to switch you to the Eastern Orthodox side. I got to get you in the Russian church because that's where it's at. All outside of Rokor is darkness.
Yeah, I think the Armenian church is Oriental Orthodox, actually.
Yeah, they are. We gotta switch you over. I actually went to St. Nina's Georgian Patriarchate Monastery today. It's a convent. It's a women's monastery, but it was very nice. It was good. I go. I'm not a big fan. I don't want to say too much, but some of the post-COVID restrictions bother me. So I feel like it hinders my spirituality. So I go around finding places that are a little more covert in their. But hey, who do you think wins? Without stepping over some FEC boundaries, who do you think wins Delaware in 20? I have an opinion on this, believe it or not. But let's hear your take.
Well, I think Biden wins. Obviously, it's his home state. I don't think he's going to improve on Hillary that much, honestly, though, despite it being his home state, because there are a lot of people out there that are not necessarily in support of Joe Biden, especially as we get in a more polarized climate. But I would say he wins it. But I'd like to hear your take on it. You probably know more of what's going on the ground than I do.
So mine's it's an eyeball test. This is like really not an educated opinion. Just I was immersed in kind of being on the ground there. I didn't see as much enthusiasm with Biden as you would think in his home state. And that includes up in Newcastle County and Wilmington.
Really?
So I think we might. I would not bet on it. I'm gonna put it that way. I wouldn't bet either way on Delaware, to be quite frank.
Well, if what's happening in New York is real and that is really within 5 points, I would say that there's going to be a lot of reckoning to do with around the election community. And if that's the case, Delaware would be red. I just don't see it happening. But be my guest. If it happens, it happens.
So, Delaware is not blue for like the SJW stuff, and I also don't think there's that much down ticket effect from whoever wins the presidency, but I think there's a chance that Trump might actually take it because Delaware, the two lower counties are extremely red. So Kent and Sussex County are solid Republican.
He'll win both of those by wide margins. Yeah. It depends. If black turnout's very low in the Wilmington area, it's possible. I think the last time it was even remotely close would have been, I think, 2004 when Bush lost it by 7 or 8 points. So
the question, it comes down to the union workers, honestly. And I think that a lot of them have gotten quite frustrated. So it depends on if it's a combination of the enthusiasm, who's going to stay home and who shows up, and how much can the Republicans pull from that working class kind of union working crowd.
Well, yeah. I'll tell you this. It moved right 8 points from 2016 or 2012 to 2016. If it could be closer than people expect if the home state advantage thing is actually a wash. But I don't know. I think maybe in 2024, 2028, it could be competitive, depending on who the candidate is. I just think this cycle, it's probably the math just isn't there.
Yeah, but just living there, I didn't see anybody like super excited that it was Biden. And if there's any momentum for anything in northern Delaware, it was for like the crazy New Green Deal people, and they pretty much lost their enthusiasm when Bernie Sanders went out. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But it really hardly matters for anybody but the down ticket, to be honest, because it's what, one electoral point, so who cares?
Yeah, well, I think that Trump probably could, or a Republican could hypothetically flip Delaware if they wanted to, but it's just 3 electoral votes. Is it really that worth it? That's the other question.
Well, what is important is some of the congressional seats. So without getting into trouble, but
Yeah.
there's opportunities there on the down ballot, which maybe if Trump were to give some attention to, he could potentially influence that. So, but I also kind of don't want him to because of some of the really dumb endorsements that his people have him make. I would rather him not. I'd rather just
Yeah.
just stay out and just let what happens happens. Um,
I don't think he'll pay attention. I
yeah,
mean, it's just it is just Delaware after all. It's not the most populous state.
the pizza's terrible. I judge states by their pizza for the most part, and
There's good pizza up in the Detroit area for sure.
I can imagine that's the home of Domino's. That's where Domino's is from.
Well, yeah, and Little Caesars and Jets and a few others too.
I actually like Domino's, so we're not gonna poo on for. But Trump's sister, Colin, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Nobody cares. Anyways, I think we're pretty much done. Any final thoughts you want to get out?
Yeah, well, if anybody doesn't know my channel, I'm sure a lot of the people in here do. I don't know how many people are watching.
We were up to like 15, but now we're down to 9. So we're down to 9.
Yeah, well, if anybody wants to follow me on YouTube, just look up Red Eagle Politics. You can subscribe there. Follow my Twitter at Red Eagle Patriot, which is the same handle as most of my other social media. So that's really all. That's really all I have to say.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. I'm sure we're gonna get massive playbacks, okay? And then
Yeah.
especially after Vincent James comes on next week, and then after that we're having Michael Jones. I don't know if you want to be around him. That might be a little sticky for you.
It might be a little controversial.
I've interviewed him before, so I know what I'm getting into at least. But he's a smart dude. You just got to keep him off of a certain subject.
Yeah.
And but which I kind of got into a little trouble last time because I was like, "Who are these oligarchs?" And he got him going, and I was like, "Oh no, oh no." But
yeah, you gotta watch out for Media Matters and all those kinds of people.
they've already come after me. I don't really care. Buddy's Pizza got voted #1 in the nation. Where's that, Mac?
It's in Detroit. It's up there. I would say around #1 in the nation. Yeah.
If I'm not wrong, Mac Pete lives up there with you up in Michigan. So you should follow his channel and you guys can be buddies. So, but anyways, I appreciate you coming on. So everybody go follow Red Eagle Politics on YouTube, and you're on Twitter, right? Red Eagle at
Yeah.
Red Eagle Patriot.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, cheers. Finally, a white pill. Trump is going to win, and we have 4 more years to get ready before the coming balkanization and civil war. So,
well, maybe you got to get out and vote to see it happen. That's all I have to say.
So, well, yeah, I believe for all my viewers, I as a traditionalist and a Christian, I think it's our duty to do what we can under the framework of what we have, prepare for the worst, though, and organize and prepare for that. But anyways, follow me on my other channels. I'm trying to build up DLive because, after Michael Jones, this is probably not going to last long. So, and on that note, till next time.